That's 40,000 miles a year, mostly driving bleary-eyed through the night. There were times when I had got on a motorway in the north and a few hours later would suddenly realise that I was nearly home, the driving having been done almost subconsciously while my mind was elsewhere. Like a fighter pilot who'd been on too many missions, I felt lucky to be alive, but also convinced that disaster was just around the corner. It had got to the point where Natalie almost had to talk me into the car to go to work. And secondly, where was I actually going? Yes, I was going home to my family, but we lived in Crawley in West Sussex, and even if you love your family, which I do, and you're used to travelling, which I am, if your final destination is bland, concrete Newtown Crawley, there's always going to be a part of you dragging its feet. We'd moved there from South London 7 years previously to get more for our money and to help me turn professional as a stand-up. For a couple of years, Natalie commuted to London every day, supporting us as I built up my career. It didn't take long for me to get the lie of the Crawley land. A local pub was advertising a comedy night, and I went in to offer my services. "Oh, sorry, mate," said the landlord. "We knocked it on the head. Got too violent." It was 3:30 in the morning by the time I drove past our house. I wasn't driving past because I had a reluctance to go in, but because, as usual, I couldn't park outside the place. We lived in a row of terraced and semi-detached Victorian cottages near the centre of town. There were no driveways, no off-street parking, but plenty of cars. Interlopers used the street as a source of free parking while they sauntered into town pleased with their discovery. It was one of my many bugbears. 20 minutes later, I was opening our front door, having parked up a couple of streets away and struggled back with my luggage. Mods don't travel light. I was being as quiet as I could be, though obviously not quiet enough. As soon as the door shut, Samuel started screaming the place down. I panicked and tripped over my case, falling into the kitchen in an undignified heap and banging my head on the oven. Natalie came charging down the stairs, clearly thinking a burglary was in progress. "What are you doing?" she hissed, pointlessly, as Samuel was now very much awake. "I fell over. I hurt my head," I replied pathetically, also whispering. "You've woken him up." "All I did was close the front door." "Well, don't." "What?" Every parent of small children knows the scene. You've been through months and months of trying to get the little sods off to sleep, and then, when they finally are, you almost daren't move or speak in case you wake them up. You creep around your own house, glare at each other accusingly if one of you makes a sudden noise, and you watch television with the sound so low that you're constantly turning to each other whispering, "I missed that. What did he say?" This goes double for a very small house, and as I lay there, with my 5-foot 10-inch body partly in the kitchen, partly in the hall, and partly in the living room, after a 4-hour drive, a gig I didn't enjoy, and in a town I didn't want to be in, I just closed my eyes, rolled over, and went to sleep. At some point in the night, I had made it to my own bed without either waking Samuel or being told off, and now, as I hazily awoke in the late morning, I felt slightly better disposed towards the world. I was home at least, even if home could be trying at times. Natalie came into the bedroom, a welcome cup of tea in her hand. "I don't want to rush you," she said, "but someone's just left. There's a car parking space right outside. I'd do it, but I don't know where you left the car." It was a depressingly regular game we had to play, and as I hurried to get dressed, I kept glancing out of the window to make sure the space was still there. I ran downstairs and out of the door, trying to remember where I had, in fact, left the car. "Block the space with something," I shouted over my shoulder. "With what?" Natalie shouted back. "I don't know, Samuel's tricycle." "I'm not leaving his tricycle in the middle of the road. Hurry up." It was a fair point, and I went herring off. 5 minutes later I returned, and of course the space had gone. I got out of my car and just stared at the foreign object, a gleaming BMW. I closed my eyes, threw my head back, and just howled. The frustration of fatigue combining to make it a primeval cry from the depths of middle-class, small-town frustration hell. Neighbours came to their windows to see what could possibly have happened to tear apart their peaceful Sunday morning so violently, and what they saw was me standing in the middle of the road, my car blocking the traffic, my eyes closed and my head thrown back, roaring at the sky. The fact that I was impeccably dressed must only have added to the man at the end of his tether feel of the scene, and as someone in a blocked car started beeping his horn at me, I just stayed frozen in that position, unwilling to move. Natalie.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.